Hello, welcome back. Today I'm working on another watercolor painting since I'm having fun with the medium, but at the same time, well, my last video I started this. And then when things dry up, I start to worry a bit. I'd be lying if I didn't think that the painting was screwed at this point. I should just stop and make something else, but I decide to push through. And that's pretty much how I felt throughout the entire making of this painting. Anyways, the painting was inspired by the story I read. It's quite detailed and atmospheric. Sadly, my summary won't be anywhere near as good as reading the actual story. So a woman falls into the ocean. Disoriented, she can't make her way towards safety. Shortly, she stops fighting it and lets things take its course. Eventually, she notices something that appears to be an amulet. Curious, she goes after it, but it moves away. Then, further into the story, gets quite dark all of a sudden. There are people curled up into these spiky rocks, and they appear to be lifeless. And that's what I'm going to be painting today. I initially made a lot of sketches on what the amulet would look like. It was quite vague and mysterious in the story. I assumed this was done on purpose to add some mystery into it, so I decided to leave it alone. Also, since I can't really draw people, I made the beast straight up, and in order to introduce a bit of edge, I made a broken ribcage. I started the painting portion by doing a wash with water and following that with a light amount of blue. On the side, one of the brush's hair is there, and trying to get rid of it leaves a bit of a mark. I proceed by darkening the bottom of the painting. I want to add these dark spikes, and so off camera I add more layers, and each time I add more paint spray to the watercolor. I then make the spikes with my round brush. In hindsight, I should have used my smaller brush to add them so I can make them more detailed and spiky. And in the next clip, I have some shadows to the spikes. I now go on to painting the main figure. The base color is Payne's Gray with a touch of Prussian blue. I think I should have added the same blue to it as I did for the background in the beginning, but at the time I thought it would have been better to have done it this way. I then start going in by adding some shadows with the small brush, then realize it won't be of much help, so I go back to the brush I've been using. Here you can see the bottom part hasn't darkened quite a lot compared to the rest of it. Watercolor does generate dry lighter, so it takes several layers to get the darkness that I want, except for that one bend on my last video, so remember that. Now we cut to a point where the shading is a lot more refined, but I'm still not quite satisfied with the bottom part. It still seems too bright to me, so I go in with less diluted Payne's Gray to add more intensity, especially later, and in other parts I do the same by adding a less diluted Payne's Gray. At this point, there's a large contrast between the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. I'm not sure if that's how things generally go, but that's how I went for this piece. Due to still being quite unfamiliar with the medium, plenty of work was done off camera since I was kind of panicking at points. Also, do you prefer if I were to talk more, or do you like these chunks of music without my voice? Let me know. The face was quite weird for me. I didn't want to do something intricate in detail, so I just made simple shapes for the nose and eyes, and along with simple shading. Painting the green part was easy, but it was when I got to the orange that I didn't really like the color. It was too intense and bright. Later on I do make both darker. For this orange one I add a bit of this new darker red I bought. I still wanted to make it more dull. I mixed in some green to make it more brown, which works well, but still I needed something more dull. So I grabbed my red and put some on my palette. But then later I realized I poured burnt umber instead. It did feel like the color was way more brown than it was red, but for whatever reason that didn't make me go back to look until it was too late. Thanks for watching. This last clip was recorded on a new camera which I got, which is a huge improvement of what I've had. Let me know what you think of the video. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. So, I'll see you later. Goodbye.